The wide variety of weather around the state, that's a big story today. Some of it hazardous.
But it's not just bad news, because even though it's inconvenient, it's a lot of beneficial precipitation from this storm. Could put a big dent in that drought across eastern Colorado. Sometimes we forget about those areas. And Chris is joining us now, Chris Bianchi, to talk about this because it's important. And it's also ranchers, farmers, a lot of other people that really need the water.
And this is exactly where the storm is going to target. So the southeastern part of the state, this is the part of the state that needs the water the most. I'm going to kind of explain this in a bit of detail right now. But again, southeastern Colorado in the midst of a pretty severe drought right now. And this really goes back to the start of the calendar year. Much of eastern Colorado under either a moderate, severe, or extreme drought. In fact, a little sliver of far southeastern Colorado, Baca County, under an exceptional drought. That is the highest level of drought. Here's the reason why. You go back to the start of the calendar year, in Pueblo, we've picked up less than an inch of rain and melted snow equivalent, precipitation, right? We're at about 30% of where we should be so far this year in Pueblo. So again, we live already in a pretty dry climate. I don't have to tell you that to many of you out there. And when we don't get the limited moisture that we get on average, it's a big problem. Look at this in Springfield and Baca County, about half of where we should be since January the 1st. So this is mostly a short-term drought. But take a look at this. The precipitation forecast, the part of the state that's going to get targeted with the most rainfall. Look at that in Pueblo, for example, here, Kim and Tom. 2.41 inches worth of rainfall. Now, this is one computer forecast model. This may not exactly come to fruition to that degree. Let's say we get 1.5 inches in Pueblo. Remember, since the start of the year, we have picked up less than 1 inch of total precipitation. So this is just an enormous amount of water for a part of the state that really needs it.
But a deluge, is that not as productive as steady rain over the course of a week or a month?
No, so this is a great question. Now, the best news part of this storm system is that this is really not going to be much of a flood threat. So yes, we are going to be talking about some substantial water, but because this is going to be spread out over the course of a good 12 to 18 hours, the flood threat from this is pretty limited. Rivers, streams, generally speaking right now are pretty low, so we can handle moisture.
So they can take it.
So they can take it. So honestly, from maybe a nerd in a suits perspective, from a meteorological perspective, this is about as good of a storm system as we could possibly ask for the part of the state that needs it the most.
At this time of the year.
Yes, at this time of the year.
So when one of our reporters is standing in 41 inches of snow, they'll be thinking, the nerd in the suits
Chris is really happy about this.
Going his way.
I believe that's you volunteering, right?
I'm always ready to go. Always ready. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah.